Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back with another video from Annie News. Today we are checking out every isekai and fantasy anime coming out this season. So I've queued up quite a few anime isekais on Crunchyroll into my watch list, and I think this will help me prioritize which ones to check out because I've all of a sudden looked at it and I'm like, I don't know which one to start with. Tower of God season 2 started off quite well. I watched the first episode. I haven't watched the second one yet. I'm gonna watch that tonight actually. There's a couple of others that I've started, but I thought this will help me decide on which ones to check out first. So let's get into it.
There's every isekai and fantasy anime coming out this season.
Okay.
There aren't too many returning like how there was last season, but to quickly cover those, there's the second season for Tower of God.
Hell yes.
Part 2 to Nier Automata.
Oh yeah, of course. I need to because I really enjoyed part 1. That was sick. There.
Season 2 of Sengoku Yoko. Season 2 of Our Last Crusader, The Rise of a New World.
Don't know what that is.
Then Fairy Tail, The 100 Years Quest.
Now, with Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, can you watch this without watching... Because I got like a quarter of the way through the original Fairy Tail anime, and then I'm looking at this, and I'm like, can I just jump into this, or can I not? Let me know.
I'm sure plenty of you have already started Tower of God Season
Hell
2,
yes.
so aside
What an opening episode.
from the massive shift in story with a brand new cast, you can attribute the change in art style to the change in animation studio.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Instead of it being Telecom Animation Film, it's now a studio known as the Answer Studio. A group whose previous works mostly involve movies like Garden of Words and Crossroad, but they did work on Season 1 a little bit. It'll be interesting to see if their talents can translate over to a TV anime, but
I mean, I'm appreciating the animation style. I love it.
from the looks of Episode 1, it seems rather promising already. Now, all the other sequels are direct continuations to their counterparts, except for Fairy Tail, which is more of a side story never explored in the main story.
Oh, okay. So potentially I could watch it.
Now that the main story is done, though, this is a whole nother adventure for Natsu and his crew to go on. A brand new mission to seal away the 5 dragon gods. It's a whole new anime being done by JC Staff this time, spearheaded by the same director responsible for the previous seasons. So, though the animation and art style might be different, the overall tone and feel should be similar to the Fairy Tail from 2018 and before.
Okay.
Moving on to the more new anime,
Is
first and
this
foremost we have Suicide Squad the Isekai. It's pretty much exactly what you think it is, and looks to be about as good as an isekai with DC villains can get. You've got Joker, Peacemaker, Harley Quinn, and more, all starring as the main cast in what's pretty much your standard fantasy isekai setting. They're not reincarnated or magically teleported, but are instead sent in as a forward task force, one responsible for securing an area that the Argus facility can conduct research and acquire resources.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just like the Suicide Squad was just randomly Right.
It's actually very much akin to that of a Gate-type situation. There's of course all the standard stuff the Suicide Squad is known for, so aside from some unruly characters, bombs in people's heads, and just all-around craziness, what you can look forward to the most is Wit Studios' amazing animation.
Does look
Even
good.
if the story turns out to be a dud, the quality of the fights are going to be spectacular.
Fair enough.
Next we have Isekai Shikaku, otherwise known as No Longer Allowed in Another World.
Ooh, I added this, right, okay.
This mixes things up by making the protagonist somewhat different, mainly through the fact he's an author from the year 1948. So, whereas every other isekai protagonist immediately recognizes this type of situation, the lack of video games, anime, or manga means getting isekai'd means nothing to him.
Huh.
No. He's instead this despondent writer whose only happiness comes from finding the perfect place to die.
Oh.
The thing about trying to do so in this world, though, is that no matter the situation, he always seems to come out okay. Making it this comedy where all our protagonist wants is to just drop dead, but for some reason simply can't.
Oh, right, okay.
The studio behind this was also responsible for Isekai Oji-san, so
Oh.
I imagine it'll be able to capture the comedy just as well as it did in that anime. Now, the next isekai goes by the name Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells.
I'm sure I added this as well. Go on.
From the title alone, it sounds rather interesting, and it's an isekai that's actually very similar to Arifureta. You see, an entire class is summoned into a world of fantasy, and every student gets to be a hero except for one, our main character. He unfortunately isn't powerful at all, and because of that is banished to the dungeon by the goddess who summoned him.
Oh.
Well, as it turns out, he actually does have a power that's quite useful, and he ends up using it to make it back from the dungeon. After which, the story turns more into a revenge plot.
Oh.
So, if you like edgy power fantasy similar to Arifureta, then Failure Frame might be worth checking out for you.
That does sound good. Okay, yeah.
Something a bit more tame is the slice of life isekai, A Journey Through Another World, raising kids while adventuring.
I think I'll pass.
It's an isekai involving exactly what the title states, making this story all about childcare.
Yeah.
Our protagonist is reincarnated into a dangerous forest, only to find himself confronted by two very powerful children. They're a pair of what I assume are orphans who he ultimately decides to take care of himself. The story then follows the adventure they go on, and that's pretty much what you can expect from this isekai. Another fantasy slice of life isekai is Dahlia in Bloom crafting a fresh start with magical tools. After dying from overwork, then experiencing back-to-back tragedies after reincarnation, Dahlia finally decides to live for herself. She takes the skills she learned from her magical tool-making master and uses it to start her own company and focus on her craft.
Cool.
She then encounters
Business.
numerous challenges, but it's along the way that she learns to become more confident and live life the way that she wants to. So, all in all, it's a story centered around Dahlia and the magical tools she makes. It's not a romance or a lengthy adventure, but rather a very literal slice of Dahlia's life. Next, we have Quality Assurance in Another World,
Okay,
and
go on,
though
sell
similar
it,
to Sword
sell
Art
it.
Online in premise, being stuck in a video game isn't all there is to it. The game they're stuck in is actually a buggy mess, and the main character's
Oh.
job is to debug everything.
Oh, I like that.
It's a self-imposed role that he hopes will help free his friends from whatever game-breaking glitches they're trapped in. So,
Okay,
whether it
that
be
is
clipping
different.
through walls or navigating missing texture areas, this isekai's bread and butter is its approach to game development. It's not just a side element mentioned in the background, but is rather the core theme all the way through. So, to me, it's a genuinely interesting premise we've actually never seen in an isekai before. Whether it's good or not is yet to be seen, but from a creative standpoint, at least it's something different.
Yeah, very much
Now,
so.
the last isekai before getting into all the fantasy is the strongest magician in the Demon Lord's army was a human.
Oh,
A story not so
do you know what? I watched the first 2 episodes of this, and actually I'm quite enjoying this one. It's not amazing, but it's quite enjoyable.
focused on the isekai part itself, but rather the position the character who got isekai'd made for himself. By hiding the fact he was a human, he was able to cement himself as the Demon Lord's strongest magician. So, it's him using his immense power and modern-day knowledge to essentially drive back the much larger force fighting against the Demon Lords. Unfortunately, the source material and trailers aren't very promising, but perhaps there is
Oh.
some fun to be found from this. Now, that's pretty much it for the isekai,
I mean, like I said, first 2 episodes are alright. I just think it's okay.
but in terms of just straight-up fantasy, there's actually quite a few of them, a lot of which seem rather interesting. So, first we have Wisteria
Mate.
Wand and Sword, the manga from
Jesus Christ, this first episode is incredible.
2020 now finally getting its anime. It's a straightforward story similar to Black Clover and Mashal, where in a world dominated by magic, our protagonist shines with his swordsmanship. He may not be a capable mage like everyone else, but where he lacks in magic, he more than makes up for with the sword. So, as he strives to reach a height others usually attain only through magic, our main character has to do so by hunting monsters. That's the only way he can advance and become one of the truly strong. It's nothing too different from what we've seen before, but the level of struggle and perseverance seems very reminiscent of Danmachi.
Mate, yes. Alright, yes, I'll give you that. Yes, very much so. And the animation is just absolutely phenomenal.
To me, it seems like a show that knows exactly what it is and what to focus on. The trailers alone already look exceptional, so even if the story isn't that complex, so long as it's portrayed well, Wisteria Wand and Sword could be something special.
Oh, I
here.
love that first episode.
The director's
Ooh.
also the same person who brought us Black Clover, and the
Oh!
other anime he's worked on have been nothing short of exceptional.
Sick.
So, out of all the anime I've talked about this video, this is the one I'd recommend watching the most. Next, we have I Parry Everything, which, as you'd expect, is a story about a character who, well,
Parries
everything.
everything.
There is a whole political conflict going on around him
Oh,
too, but for the most
taxi.
part, our protagonist is set on becoming an adventurer. He'd spent the last 10 years becoming super OP and has now finally resurfaced to find himself involved in something more. The rest is him using his power to solve whatever conflict, and that's pretty much what you can expect from this. In a similar vein, we have the Osen Newbie Adventurer, which follows that same storyline of an OP character just wanting to become an adventurer. Before, he'd never gotten the chance, but with the way he was raised, he'd become far stronger than anyone. Fast forward to when he's 30 years old, and it's now that he's finally setting out to become an adventurer. A job most commonly fit for those way younger, but Rick Gladiator is here to prove otherwise.
Cool.
It's basically him showing up whatever elite adventurers underestimate him. Switching things up with more of a sci-fi fantasy, this right here is Why Does Nobody Remember Me in This World?
Ooh.
It's a modern fantasy
Cool, I added this, cute this, let's have a look, yeah.
taking place after humanity's victory in a massive conflict against 5 rival races.
Right.
Such a victory was only achieved because of the hero, so when the world is overwritten and the hero made absent, our main character finds himself in a timeline where humanity didn't win.
Oh.
It's then up to him to inherit the hero's powers and fight for humanity's victory all over again. This isn't an anime I'd say I'm personally invested in, but if you're looking for a more post-apocalyptic one, then this might be for you.
That sounds good.
If you're looking for a regular modern fantasy, then A Nobody's Way might be more of what you're looking for. It's literally modern-day Japan with the addition of explorable dungeons. Kinda like Solo Leveling minus all the cool stuff. So, our protagonist is a regular high schooler and low-level dungeon explorer, and it's one day that he chances upon this really rare item. A card that summons mythical beings to fight alongside him. This makes it easier to explore dungeons, and it leads his life towards all sorts of new adventure. That's what I assume is going to be the bulk of the story, so it's a pretty standard fantasy just in Japan instead of a medieval setting. Next, we have several lighthearted comedic fantasies, coming in the form of Dungeon People, Plus-Sized Elf, and The Magical Girl and the Evil Lieutenant.
Right.
Dungeon People presents a different take on dungeon exploration, in the sense that it shows how it's run from the other side.
Oh.
What I mean is that, rather than show the dungeon from the typical adventurer's perspective, it's instead a playful portrayal of how a dungeon's managed from the caretaker's perspective.
Cool.
A unique look on what it's like behind the scenes. Plus-Sized Elf is literally about an elf trying to lose weight, then Magical Girl Evil Lieutenant is a rom-com between an evil leader and the magical girl opposing him.
Okay, and it's a comedy, right? Because I queued this up as well, so I'm going to give that an episode.
That's being done by Studio Bones, so I think it might actually be worth checking out this season. The last 2 are Delico's Nursery and Bye Bye Earth, where one is a vampire murder mystery with a subplot of childcare, and the other about a lone human in a world of anthropomorphs setting out to find her true place in the world. The former is only fantasy because of the vampires, while the latter deals with a lengthy adventure filled with adversity. They're both pretty different from the more traditional power fantasies we get. But yeah, that's every isekai and fantasy coming out this season.
Cool.
Code Geass is also airing too, but that's a topic for another video.
Oh, because I saw a clip, I didn't realize. Oh my god, Disney Plus! Why? Nyeh. Does it continue from the Lelouch stuff? What is it?
For now, let me know which, if any of these caught your attention. I'd love to see what you all are planning to watch down in the comments. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So, until next time.
Ciao. Cool, there's some cool stuff coming out. Awesome. So that has helped me later, because I'm having an evening of watching anime. Really cool stuff. Awesome. Love it. I mean, it doesn't seem to be a lot this season that's screaming out to me. I think next season is going to be there's a lot of stuff in October. October's pretty stacked. But anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video and want to be able to watch Patreon-only reactions, such as the original Dragon Ball series, linked in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is all I ask to help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. And let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. I'll see you guys, all you guys, next time.